the rings of Saturn. Less than a kilometre thick and 500,000 wide, they're reason enough for manned spaceflight. The brightest rings, those we can see through a telescope, would stretch from Earth almost to the Moon. The darker rings, which we can't see, stretch much, much farther. From Earth, our view of the rings and the sunlight they reflect change as Saturn orbits the Sun on a tilted axis. Here, they appear almost edge-on. Then, gradually, through the season, they open. The gap in the rings is called the Cassini division. This smaller gap, the Encke division, is in Saturn's so-called A ring. There are 7 rings, each with a letter. This is the C ring, less sparkling than A and B. Like all the rings, it's comprised of hundreds of ringlets. Time-lapse of the B ring, the broadest and brightest. The dark spokes are possibly dust, levitated by electrostatic forces. So close are the rings to Saturn that its gravitational tug prevents them forming a moon. Instead, they're swarms of moonlets, from grains of dust to rocks the size of tanks. The rings may be the debris of a moon that came too close, or of moons that collided. Either way, eventually, they'll fall into the planet. 3 rings, D, E and G, are dark and virtually invisible. The thinnest, ring F, is just beyond ring A, and kept on the straight and narrow by a couple of shepherd moons. Saturn has more than 30 moons, and the list keeps growing. As with all gas giants, moons are the only solid and tangible bodies. Mimas may be tiny, but we could land there. An impactor once did, and dug a great crater. Had it been bigger, Mimas would be dust. Enceladus is twice as big, but still just 500 kilometers wide. Dusted possibly by icy particles from Saturn's E ring, the surface is highly reflective. Equally icy and twice the size again, Tethys. A fault line almost girdles the Moon. A little larger and with a big crater, Dione is icy, riven and battered. Even its fault lines are eroded by impacts. A close-up of Rhea, diameter 1,500 kilometers, an ancient surface recording 4.5 billion years of impacts. This is Hyperion, a fuzzy image, but undeniably the spitting image of a bath sponge. Next out, dark markings on icy Iapetus, 1,400 kilometers wide. And odd little Phoebe, which orbits in reverse.